You can make anyone obsess over you with one simple psychology trick if you understand cognitive dissonance. Let me explain. This man is meeting these two girls. One of them is a 7, but she plays hard to get. She makes men pick her up, open the door for her, pay for dinner, doesn't go out for last-minute plans, and says she's a busy woman who takes long to reply. On the other hand, the other girl who is a 9 doesn't like those games. She pays for half of the bill, replies quickly, says yes to last-minute plans, and she sometimes picks him up in her car. After 2 weeks of meeting them, he ghosts one of them and wants to get serious with the other. He thinks about her all day, and you can go as far as saying he's a bit obsessed with her. Which woman would you choose? And who do you think he chose? While it isn't obvious to the majority of people, there's a psychology phenomenon called cognitive dissonance, with which it's really easy to get these answers. I'll explain. In this experiment, they ask participants to move this screw from one side to the other for an hour, a very, very boring task. At the end of the experiment, half of them are paid $1 and the other half are paid $20, and the person carrying out the experiment asks, "How likely are you to recommend this task as fun?" People who were paid $20 say that the task was extremely boring, which is why they were rewarded nicely. It makes sense. The task is boring, so therefore there is a good reward for it. It is very unlikely they recommend it as fun. Now, on the other hand, the people who were given $1 have on one side the boring task, and on the other the fact that they were only paid $1. This makes no sense. Having wasted an hour of their time doing something extremely boring and only getting paid $1, it just makes no sense. Since those participants can't change the fact that they were given $1, what they change inside their minds is the fact that the task is boring. Maybe they give it a philosophical meaning, or maybe they deem it a meditation technique, or a time for themselves to reflect. They make some mental maneuver to sell themselves on the fact that it isn't that boring and therefore justify themselves as to why they spent an hour doing this boring task. Once you see it as personal time for reflection, it is much more likely you recommend it. That's what it's known as cognitive dissonance in the world of psychology. When you find contradictions in your behavior, you look for justification to make it make sense. Now back to the other question. Maybe it's happened to you with a guy friend or a girlfriend. You ask your friend, "How is it that this ugly, lazy, good-for-nothing person attracts you? How is it that you're crazy over this person if you're a 9 and he's a 7? And what happens is this. She's been putting so much time and effort into this relationship and has been suffering so much that to justify herself, she has to sell herself on the story that this good-for-nothing is amazing. Why else would she be crying over him? Why else would she invest so much mental power on someone who isn't worth it? She tells herself that since she's been putting in so much work, it must be because this person is amazing. Cognitive dissonance sees the amount of effort you're putting into a person and automatically raises that person's worth to that level in your head. The answer to the ageless question of is playing hard to get something that works is yes, it does work. And while it isn't the only way and mature people don't usually fall for this trap, giving another person all your attention on a silver platter is definitely not the best strategy. People often fail to deem worthy what doesn't take effort. He fell for the trap and obsessed over the hard-to-get girl who was a 7, and he let the girl who was a 9 and treated him nicely go. The advice I give him and I give myself is to remember that not everything that's hard to get is valuable. Don't fail to recognize the actual valuable things in your life just because they came easy.